All right, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dave.
Thanks, Blair. Hey, everybody. This is Dave, as Blair said, and we do welcome you to our webinar today, talking about Elo's Android solutions for point of sale and actually self-service and pretty much all touch points within store. And thanks again for taking a little time out of your day to listen to my dribble. We'll try to make it as worthwhile as possible for you. And I do need to say off the top that my voice doesn't always sound this way, but I've chosen to go with my old aunt from Philadelphia's smoker's voice to kind of add a little flavor and flair to the webinar today. Way too much time on the road for me, so at some point my voice will come back, and hopefully it'll last throughout the entire hour here. So let me get started right off the top, and just wanted to make note of who's on, so you get an idea of the village of folks who are sitting with you, and it's a mix of ISVs, so our software development friends, resellers, VARs of all types, a payment processor or two, and then distributors as well too. And I bring that up. One, because we try to make sure that we're tailoring the content to kind of work for all types who are on today. You'll feel and notice me kind of lean a little bit more toward an ISV bent on some of this. A lot of it just really has to do with the fact that, in our world, it's a hardware shop. Software leads the deal. So we spend much of our time trying to convince the ISV community to come and hang out with us and run their code on our solutions. In addition, we do a lot of matchmaking here at Elo within my team, which is gold with taking care of our point of sale and self-service ISV friends, but also across all of our sales teams and channel team members as well too. So if there are ISVs on the call looking for a few good resellers, just let me know post-call. And same thing, resellers looking for a new ISV or two to hang out with and resell some solutions. We can definitely kind of connect everybody. It just makes the community better, makes the whole thing go. And then our distributor who are on as well too. I'll point them out to you at the very end. They take real good care of our entire ISV and reseller community. So if you're looking for a good one, let us know as well too. So with that, I'll head into the presentation. What we're going to cover today, simply a little bit about Elo's Android philosophy, and then get into, in a lot of ways, why we spend so much time with Android. Then we'll get into our solutions for all the touch points in the store, as I made mention. So point of sale, self-service, our new Backpack media player, and then we'll touch on how to get some support, how to hang out with us, how to get dev help, and then where to buy some of this gear as well. All right, so let me start here with Elo and Android and our legacy with this operating system. We've been at Android for about the last 4 years. A lot of the history started with our original PayPoint Rev A device, which actually had us developing that beautiful piece of hardware at the bottom of the screen, the white one, and our own point of sale code that we wrote for it as well too. So that kind of got us started down the path of seeing Android as this wonderful, nimble operating system that could be a real good fit in point of sale. That then led us into going all in on Android with our iSeries, and then which is the unit in the center, and then with our Android electronic computer module, which we use to power our interactive digital signage products. But the thing when we got started was we had ended up with 3 different platforms with a variety of OS versions running on them, and actually a couple of differing CPUs as well too. So it kind of started as in 3 individual product lines. And what's kind of changed over the 4 years is that in and around between October of last year and January of this year, we actually merged our entire Android platform in essence under one operating system version and one processor, and then with similar RAM and storage options across all the products as well too. And the goal there was to basically simplify the development effort, not only for us and the hardware build effort, but also for our development partners and our resellers as well too. So more simple approach to actually deploying in applications across multiple devices, multiple touch points, made simple by actually merging them all onto exactly the same OS and processor. And when we look at Android in the market, there's been a big battle over the last X amount of years as to whether these consumer-grade operating systems, whether it be iOS or Android, were actually going to continue to be viable in the space. I would venture a guess that in the upper tiers of retail, there were many a retailer that were just waiting for Windows Mobile or even Windows 10 to finally get it right, and then they could upgrade everything to that and finish line, and then Android and iOS would go away in the space. But that really hasn't happened. In the mobile side of retail, and these numbers come from the folks at IHL, Android truly leads the way in a very large $2 billion footprint of mobile point of sale. The majority of that coming off the survey are more tablet-sized devices, but you can see in that smattering of numbers that it's over 51% Android that's now sitting in retail on a mobile type device. Interestingly enough, I was recently at VARTech, Blue Star's reseller event, sitting on a panel session about the death of Windows CE and whether Android had truly supplanted it. And as basically a consortium, 3 competitors on the warehouse management side, handheld devices in Zebra, Datalogic, and Honeywell all basically said to an audience of ISVs and resellers that, yep, we see it. Windows is done. It's all Android point forward, and they're all in on Android on that side of the house. We feel the same way within the store on self-service and point-of-sale touch points and interactive digital signage, and it's just, like I said, really been fascinating to watch the ascent of Android in the space overall. But to my earlier point, it's still up for grabs, right? As to will there be a clear winner on the operating system side? And this really busy chart is really just to point out the good and the bad things amongst Android, iOS, and Windows as operating systems. And the thing that's great about Android is that it's cost-effective. Gives you an ability to kind of marry up technology that end users want to use with in-store technology. But there's some problems that have been associated with Android since day one. One was the variability of operating system versions, just constantly a new version out over and over again, which makes manageability for a software developer very difficult. There was also an issue on the life cycle of the OS. How long would an OS be in existence before I had to deal with an upgrade and such? And the third that was kind of a sticking point for Android for a long period of time was this: is it a commercial grade product or is it not? And if I put it in a retail store, is it going to be able to hold up? So going back to the comments from the Honeywells and Datalogics and the Zebras, and then what we do as well, working with the folks that make Android, which would be Google, there is now a very strong awareness from the folks at Google and even onto the folks that make the CPUs at Qualcomm that hardening and longevity and predictability of Android is definitely what's going to come in the future, and it's already starting to occur now. Now, on our side at Elo, we've been very much aware of this since we started on the Android path, and have really kind of tackled some of those key issues that Android have by hardening it right out of the gate. So on that whole issue of OS variability, where a developer has to worry about too many revs coming too quickly, we've worked with Google and Qualcomm, as has the other vendors that I mentioned previously, to work to try to have a 2-year release guarantee on an OS to create that predictability, and then an overall 4-year support run for the OS from day one till basic end. Now, that support dependency for security and patches and such is truly dependent on Google and Qualcomm continuing to support the OS, but their commitments now in the space are becoming deeper and deeper and deeper, which makes that more relevant and more possible. And in fact, our friends at Zebra and Honeywell and Data Logic on their side of the house were making guarantees that they would be able to handle operating systems released today out till 2025. So all this I'm saying just to help folks understand that truly Android has become just a fantastic fit for retail as an operating system, because it's cost effective, because it's nimble, and because now it can be hardened and then provide the reliability that's required in a point of sale and a self-service platform. So we do other things too. The commercial grade hardware, whether it be the warranties we put on devices, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the device, and then all the lifecycle testing that we do to ensure that these devices will hold up in the environments is key. And then having really strong SDK support for the devices that we release, and then teaming with certain peripheral vendors as well too, to make sure that they're hanging with us as well, to make sure that there is support there for all of the input devices that are required in a point of sale shop. And what that really gives you from Elo is this whole concept of a one architecture for all retail touch points. So flexibility in form factors, lower cost of integration, and whether you're looking at point of sale, self-service, or signage, you've got the same architecture running that same current release Android 7.1, same Qualcomm Snapdragon octa-core processor to make everything simple to again, allow you to have easy manageability of all kinds of very pretty, aesthetically pleasing, and highly functional touch points across a retail form factor. And then sitting behind that is our EloView mobile device management platform, which allows you to sit centrally and run and manage any Elo device that you've placed in any store remotely, and push content to, manage the device itself, lock down ports, maintain the operating system, and do it on one device to test, one store to test, and then push it across an entire fleet of devices, no matter, again, what type they are and where they may be all around the world. So let me switch gears and tell you a little bit more about the different categories of stuff that we have. And I'm going to start with point of sale. And the two most identifiable solutions that we have in the lineup. And I say that because there's a third that I'm going to share with you later that was originally thought of as a signage play, but also fits in this point of sale world as well. So on the left would be our integrated model, which I mentioned earlier. It's our PayPoint. And PayPoint was designed to be an true all-in-one device, simple, elegant, receive, unbox, plug in, find network, and you're good to go in a store. And it fits in a whole variety of marketplaces and use cases. But where it doesn't fit, we can swing over to our modular Android point of sale setup, which is our iSeries. And the iSeries comes in a 10-inch and a 15-inch and a 22-inch, and with a variety. And now you've got yourself a best-of-breed approach. So two different platforms, two different needs, two different requirements, and can absolutely be mixed and matched in the same store, same environment as well. So PayPoint's got two models. There's the smaller, which is known simply as PayPoint, and actually it's now known as a Rev B. And it's designed for a budget-based small merchant, and and fits well in cafes, ice cream shops, specialty stores, and the like, where they're looking for an aesthetically pleasing device and don't necessarily have somebody coming on site to set this thing up. So PayPoint fits extremely well in those scenarios. So as I mentioned, running an octa-core processor, this PayPoint one has a 2-inch receipt printer on it, small 13-inch cash drawer, 1D barcode scanner, a MagTech MSR. There's a 2x16 display on the back side, and it's pretty much got everything a small merchant could require for a point-of-sale setup. If the merchant needs a little bit more size in the cash drawer, a little bit more screen real estate, needs to go to a 2D barcode scanner because they're dealing with QR codes now, our PayPoint Plus then comes in as the perfect model for that. The PayPoint Plus adds a Star Micronics TSP100 series printer, which kicks a 16-inch cash drawer. The scanner on board is a 2D Honeywell scanner. And that same MagTech MSR hangs around as well, too. So, again, a little more upscale. We're seeing interest in this device from small merchants up to large merchants as well. And because it's got a little bit of expansion, you can add a second drawer. It even will fit behind a bar in a lot of ways where a 2 cash drawer setup is required. So a lot of the folks on the phone are pretty familiar with those products. The thing that we've added to PayPoint, which you may not be familiar with, is an advanced exchange service program for the devices, which we call Elo Care. And basically, one of the rubs that we hear a lot, to be very honest, is some folks have a little trepidation with PayPoint because all the peripherals are on board. So if I lose my printer, in essence, I lose my entire cash wrap. So what we've decided to come back around with is a spare in the air program, which is an adder to the standard warranty, either as a single-year adder for 1 year advanced exchange service or against the full 3 years of the device warranty itself. And then now you've got a spare in the air service to offer your merchants that actually would need it. Neat thing about leveraging Android and the Advanced Exchange program with our EloView device management platform is it's really simple as an ISV or even a reseller, depending on who's managing the software for the operator and the merchant, to once the new device reaches the merchant, to push the APK remotely right to that device, up and running, and off you go. So moving over to the best-of-breed iSeries, as I mentioned, this is just a great platform for so many different merchant types, sizes, shapes, and because it comes in a 10 and a 15 and a 22-inch, it just fits in a variety of use cases for sure. Same processor as sitting on that PayPoint, same operating system, and again, we've got stands. That stand that it's sitting on in this picture is our Wallaby POS stand. Easily fits a T88, fits a T22, a TSP 654, a TSP 143, pretty much anything you want to, the top printers in the market that you want to put right in front, right underneath that. You've got yourself a very, very slim, space-saving, and made to fit point-of-sale system for your merchants. Around the bezel of the iSeries units, there are micro USB ports, 4 of them. And you can add a variety of peripherals, either from Elo, a 2D barcode scanner maybe for the bottom, and then we make a variety of brackets that allow you, as is pictured, to connect an EMV reader of choice to it as well. The device also has 1 USB port on it, full size, and then we offer an expansion module if additional ports are required for, say, powered USB to support some legacy peripherals that may already be in place or that the retailer desires. But again, with the iSeries, you get mix and match capability to build this cash wrap pretty much any way you want. So out of that iSeries came this wonderful idea to, hey, what if we put it on a bigger stand, a floor stand setup? And as everybody on the phone knows, we are being inundated with self-service culture, with the millennial crowd truly preferring self-service arrangements in store. And, you know, even us old folks in that middle category are really getting used to self-service as well, too, and then moving into our more wiser crew on the 55 plus side as well too. So it's self-service is just rampant in the space, and I would tell you that it's got us inundated on a daily basis with a variety of designs, asks, you name it. These are a variety of different looks and feels of self-ordering in restaurants now. The thing that's really fascinating is, for the longest time, kiosk full enclosures were definitely the desired look and feel. A big operator would want to make the kiosk match up with their brand. But and that's the Wendy's on the left and the McDonald's, which I would say right now is the most famous kiosk implementation that's occurring in the marketplace right now, with over 14,000 of these things going in over time, the next few years. But what's really interesting, and the reason that really pushed us to develop those stands, which we call Wallaby, and the Wallaby name comes from the fact that the front has a pouch where you put the printer, and voila, it's a marsupial. But the thing is, we've seen more and more operators of size actually be okay with just putting a large 15 or 22-inch device that looks like a tablet that users are very familiar with in the store on a stand, simple to deploy, quick to deploy, and the real key is just getting the application right and making the application as user-friendly as possible. So we've been, as noted, just through the roof with iSeries 15 and 22-inch deployments, and also larger screen, our open frame screens, and 32 and 46-inch going into enclosures as well for kiosk deployment. So with this whole Wallaby setup, the whole concept is really simple. It's choose your display, choose your iSeries size, your 10, your 15, your 22. Choose if you want to put it in portrait or landscape orientation. And then from there, you're going to choose whether you want to put it on a Wallaby countertop stand or you want to put it on a floor stand. And we also have pole stands as well too, from 6, 12, 18-inch and to a 4-foot pole stand as well. And then, of course, wall mount brackets too. But on that Wallaby stand, when you order the countertop, it's really neatly designed to fit into that particular form factor of bringing folks up to a counter, having a receipt printer print exit front toward them, and again can be oriented either a landscape or a portrait mode. When you go to the floor stand, you get the additional 4-foot extension, and then you get the base plate that allows you then to mount it cleanly on the floor. Extremely stable. We actually warrant the stands with a 3-year warranty. So pretty tough, rugged stuff, and very easy to deploy in a variety of form factors. As I mentioned, with the iSeries, you can leverage the micro USB ports around the bezel and add yourself a barcode scanner, an MSR if your operator is still using one. The expansion module I talked about, you can bury that right in the stand itself. And then the thing that keeps us up at night at Elo, it is the EMV cradles. And I would guess that any of the resellers and the ISVs and even the distributors on the phone know that pretty much every day it seems like our friends here on this list, Ingenico, Verifone, come out with a new reader, and every time they do, we are in essence forced to make a new bracket because everyone has a different swipe plane and a different dip plane and a different width and thickness and such. So we keep making brackets because it is a required feature for the kiosk in most scenarios. So standard is noted there. We've got ICMPs and IPP 320, 350s covered, and ICS 250, a couple of Verifone units, and MX 915 and E355. And then we've recently added support for Ingenico RP 457s and 757s, a Magtech eDynamo, and even a Mura M10. And as I noted, every day we're adding more of these. So it's always an ask when we get started with somebody, what device are you using? And it takes us a little while to craft a new one. But definitely, again, with the Wallaby stands and the iSeries, really simple way to develop and deploy a very elegant and user-friendly self-service, self-order station within a store. So our newest product, which may not be familiar to a lot of the folks on the phone, is our Backpack. And in essence, the Backpack is an Android media player, and it replaced our original Android ECM that would slide in the back of our 32-inch to 70-inch IDS touchscreens. So the media player Backpack comes in now and replaces that. And as you would expect, it runs the same Android 7.1 and the same Qualcomm Snapdragon octa-core CPU as the other Elo Android lineup offerings do. So simple management across all those devices again. With the use cases where it fits, like I said, originally it was for us to basically bolt on to the back of one of our large format IDS screens, but also cleanly works with our open frame screens. So in the open frame is basically the same as the IDS, but you're losing the back, and so that you can mount it cleanly into an enclosure. But what we've also seen is a lot of new asks now to just take that media player, run it as a compute box, a point-of-sale terminal, attach it to an existing Elo touchscreen, and off you go. Now you got another form factor. So it's a pretty spectacular range of use cases for this Backpack. And again, adds another way for you to leverage Elo's Android into another touchpoint scenario within the store. We've, as noted on the iSeries, we go up to 22-inch right now. We've had a new ask within kiosks to run 24 or even 27. So we have folks now taking those 24-inch and 27-inch Elo touchscreens and marrying it with a Backpack, and voila, now you've got yourself a new form factor, new size. And this, like I said, it's truly a media player. Wi-Fi, Ethernet, Bluetooth. You've got an HDMI input, of course, for your touchscreen. A couple of USBs for some peripheral support, and in essence, you've got yourself a full compute box. So back to the beginning and the whole concept of how Elo looks at Android. In essence, one architecture, which gives you common building blocks so that you can make endless solutions, whether that be common building blocks be OS version or CPU, or common building blocks being the screen size or the brackets or the stands and such too. But again, one architecture, all retail touch points. And again, seamlessly manageable by EloView, with the ability to push any application, any URL via your EloView command center, your EloView account, to any device across all the locations that you manage as an ISV or as a reseller. Whether that be your iSeries on a kiosk as a kiosk, your iSeries as a point-of-sale station, your Backpack in a digital signage scenario, or your PayPoint sitting lovingly on the counter as a point-of-sale offering. So let me stop there on the product side and just kind of close with how we can help the folks on the phone to team with us and get the support required, whether that be some sample devices to test, SDKs to integrate to these point-of-sale and kiosk solutions to help you through that process. So as I mentioned earlier, my team takes care of all of our ISV relationships, point-of-sale, self-service, and into the payment space as well too. We engage with ISVs on a daily basis and work through basically a scenario of what is it that you're doing, here's what we do, find a solution set that matches, and then really set in motion a dev cycle that has us getting the resources into that ISV's hand and the direct support from our developers to their developers to get their application up and running on any of the Elo Android platforms. And we try to make that process as simple and high touch as possible. And I would tell you that I know that it's working because it's only cliche if you don't do it, and we do it every day. I mentioned along at the top of the call that when we started that PayPoint product and wrote our own code many years ago, what happened there was after installing about 80 stores, we realized that software was really hard. So we shut that whole point-of-sale software endeavor down, but we kept all of those developers who had learned so much about Android and learned so much about the application side. And that team became the Elo dev team that supports my group and our ISV partners. And they provide direct support to our ISVs. So if you need a chunk of code, if you need to do some side-by-side testing, if you need some troubleshooting help, our folks are there to provide that level of support. No 800 numbers to call. Just real live folks with personalities and who care and come to work every single day. And that's this process here of how do you get your software added. So simple places, like I said, you can always come through me, through my team to start the process. Pulling down SDKs is simple off the elotouch.com website, but all the tools are there that you could require to do so. We have another site which I don't have mentioned here for EloView. It's our eloview.com address, which has a wealth of information on how EloView works, how to sign up for a demo account to test. We can take anybody on the phone if you want to do so on a test drive of EloView, show you the full functionality of the MDM platform, how you can add devices to your account, how you can push content to them, control the settings, etc. But just a wealth of knowledge on that eloview.com site. So if you're interested, just let me know and I'll get you those URLs. And then when you're ready to actually procure some of this stuff, these are our favorite friends in the distribution space who carry all of those parts and pieces that I described earlier on the call. And if you need to get to me at any point, fire away. No issues. My group, like I said, is focused on ISVs. If you're a reseller, you can still come and say hello. If you're looking, like I said, for an ISV to team with, we can match you up. And then sitting behind my team or side by side to my team is our inside sales team that sits in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then our outside team all across North America as well too, who are there to help our resellers on a daily basis. But that's all I have. So I'm going to sit and read a question or two. Gotcha here. All right, there's one question coming in talking about the what marketplace has 14,000 stands and kiosks. The 14,000 one was I was referring to was McDonald's. So McDonald's, I would say, after 20 years of testing a variety of kiosks, of course, is now all in on the current model that they have. It's either a single-sided or a dual-sided 27-inch kiosk enclosure with I think it's an Ingenico reader on it. Our friends at Zabello, kiosk enclosure company, designed that, and we team with them. And McDonald's goal is to get to 14,000 deployed within the next, I do believe it's 3 years. And so far, just through the roof on usage within their stores. Reception's been absolutely tremendous. I've got a question here that says, are any SDKs available for ISVs? The answer is yes. So the PayPoint SDKs can be found hanging off of the very bottom of the page of each PayPoint model itself. We use the same SDK to cover both of the smaller PayPoint model and the larger PayPoint model. And then if there's also an iOS flavor of PayPoint for those folks who are using iOS platform. And then I would be remiss, my colleague would be mad at me if I didn't tell you this, but in the January timeframe, we are going to release a Windows version of the PayPoint Plus device. We've got some test samples now heading out to the marketplace to verify, and then in the January timeframe, we'll launch PayPoint Plus for Windows, and then that device will also support Linux about a month thereafter as well, too. So yes, in addition to our love for Android, we spend a lot of time on the Windows side and iOS side as well, and Linux. And then let's see here, we will share the presentation today. Indeed, and then this whole session is being recorded As soon as the links are available, Blair will send out a note to everybody who's joined us and get all those presentations your way. Do we have PayPoint brochures that you can hand out as a reseller without pricing on them? Absolutely. We don't ever put pricing on any of our brochures. But yeah, we can definitely get you a brochure. You can either pull a PDF version off our website. If you want to get to printed, send me a note and we should be able to get you a few printed copies if you're still going the good old-fashioned route, which for me makes a lot of sense too. I'd rather have something in my hand for sure too. All right. Blair, if I missed any questions, I will come back around and answer them post. Or again, you have my email address right here and phone number. So if you want to give me a ring, we won't be afraid to pick up the phone or answer an email and say hello. But if that's all I have, and I appreciate everybody's time. Hope some of this was valuable to you. There's a lot sitting in this thing. We'll just try to cover some highlights. But definitely, if you're interested in learning some more, teaming with us, finding some resellers or ISVs, give us a shout, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Great. Thanks, Dave. Thank you again, everyone, for attending our webinar today. As a reminder, we have Dave's contact information on the last slide, or you can always contact us at elomarketing@elotouch.com. Thank you.